Good morning, afternoon, evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is George Moss again here at allpointstv.com, and we're always glad to have you. Also 92.1 WFOV radio station, and we're glad to have those listeners with us as well. We have a special guest for the first part of our program. We will be talking to Ms. McCree Theater October, and she is over the MWIA Incorporated, and she'll be here for the first part of the program. And we will be talking to her about a program that's coming up at the McCree Theater on the 14th, isn't it? At the time of, let's see what time we have it. On, what's that date again?
Saturday,
October the 14th. And that program comes on at the McCree Theater, and they have it scheduled for 1 p.m. and it goes from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. and we're going to be talking about that, apprising you of what will be taking place at that particular time. Hope all of you will come out. We have an exciting guest that will be here as our guest speaker. Miss McCree Theater October, I want to welcome you to the program.
Thank you so kindly.
And we are excited about what you're doing here. I understand that this program that you're doing at the McCree Theater is your third program, is that right?
Yes, it is. Yes.
What started you to do programs of this magnitude and this of this type? You've done it each time at the McCree Theater?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what's the intent of the program?
We started the program, like you say, a couple years ago, and the premise of the program was to get the information out. We have the young people in the community. We have a lot of crime going on, and MWIA wanted to be a part of cleaning up the community and helping the young men and women and putting them to work, you know, give them something to put their minds on to keep them out of trouble. There's a lot of unemployment, so we were thinking as an organization if we could maybe come in and pull the community together and eventually come up with some solutions in terms of making jobs available. And the actual program that we're working on is a cultural reflection. And what we wanted to do is to maybe talk to the young people and give them a history of where they come from, and maybe with them knowing where they come from, giving them a rich history, knowing that they were not just slave people, no knowledge, just out on the street, pants sagging, this type of thing. So if we would give them a history, the rich history of where they come from.
So the pants weren't always sagging.
Yes, yes. I don't want to put it on all of
There's history. Before our pants started sagging, we did some great things out there.
Yes, sir.
We're going to talk about those things.
Yes,
who's the guest speaker that you have this year?
We have a young man from Florida. He's the author of a couple of books. I don't have his books right here with me, but he's a imam in the community.
Okay.
He's been in the community, raised and went to schools, to the Claire Muhammad schools in the community, and his name is Amin Nathahari. That will be our guest speaker.
Okay. I know you're going to have a couple of other things there as well. Did you ever get the people that you were trying to get to be I think you called them they're the poet group. Did you ever get a chance to get them?
Spoken word.
Spoken word.
Yes, sir. We have this year. We were so pleased to have the young people participating this year. We're very excited about it. We have a young lady. Her name is Aisha. She does the spoken word. And we have a young man named Dewan Robinson. He will also be presenting the spoken word as well, which will be a part of the segment of the program we're offering this year.
And I know you have vendors that are going to be there?
Oh, absolutely. We this year we have the Michigan Works as a vendor. We have Mock Community College. They will be there. we will also have the Hamilton Family Network. So we will have an educational vendor, my college. We will have a workforce vendor, which in teaching the young people all about the insides of the Michigan Works. And then we also have a healthcare vendor. And we will be having a couple of vendors coming from Chicago, Illinois, and they'll be selling books and clothing and that sort. And we have a couple vendors from here also. Will be selling hopefully pies and different things.
You've been doing this. This is your third year. Would you say this program is a building on the other two programs? It's probably going to be bigger this year than it was in the past.
Yes, it is, and we're so excited. And we can actually see the progress that we've made from the first program to the third program, and we're looking for it to be a pretty huge program this time. And then as we go forward each year, we want to do better. And so as it stands right now, we are looking better than we were last year.
Very good. I think these kinds of programs are very helpful because there, as you said, as you intimated a few minutes ago, there's a lot of things we need to be doing in our community, and a lot of work got to be done. And this is some of that work.
Yes, sir.
And I really appreciate the kind of things that you've done. I know all the time you put into it has been really impressive. Behind the scenes, they don't see all the planning. They'll see the finished product on the 14th, but they don't see all the time you put into it.
Yes, sir.
One of the things I know you're going to have in your program as well, these two films, one of which is by the professor at Harvard University. They put out a 6-part series called Wonders of the African World. That was a series he did on PBS in the year 2000. It's a masterful piece of work, and I know you're going to show excerpts of that.
Yes, sir.
Film. What's the other film you're showing some excerpts of? What's the other film? Because it's going to be the other one that's put out by another group.
Yes, sir. We'll be doing the like you say, the Slave Kingdoms with Dr. Henry Gates Jr. We'll be showing a 15-minute segment of his particular film, and at that time, showing that presentation will give the audience a general idea of the state of the African people when they were in Africa. And the next film that we will be showing would be The Hidden Colors with Dr. Nasheed and Umar Johnson. And that would be a 15-minute segment that we would be showing on the Hidden Colors 3. And incidentally, when we first began our presentation at the McCree Theater, and we really appreciate Mr. Winfrey, Charles Winfrey, for accommodating us and having us to be doing our presentations there. But when we first began, we opened up with the Hidden Colors, and it was to be the Hidden Colors from the segments 1 through 4. So we're right on target with this year presenting from the Hidden Colors 3, even though we won't be at this particular show the whole Hidden Colors 3, but we will be taking excerpts from the Hidden Color 3, and it will be talking about African American people of color, Aboriginal people here in America, and the system that we're living under and have dealt with in the Americas here, which is the system that the film will be talking about racism.
Who are you trying to attract to the program? What's your audience? What audience are you trying to reach?
Actually, you know, we want all of the community to join in because we need the seniors as well as we do the young people. But our main focus is on the youth of the community because, and I'd like to start at least from 17 to 40. And I'm choosing that particular age group because at 17, the youngsters are just getting out into the community. They need to have some focus on where they're going. And so we want to be, as an organization, be able to help them get that focus. And we're having a lot of with that age group, we have an awful lot of them right now being imprisoned. And so if there's anything that we can do as an organization to be able to guide these young people from that age group to a better place in their lives, then that's what we want to do.
I think it's just great that you're doing this kind of work. What was your inspiration for getting involved in it 2 years ago, since this is your third year?
So,
what was the impetus that drove you into this mission?
yes. Well, what drove me here was actually MWIA. Like, we are a nonprofit 501c3 organization, and our mission was actually to help women and children when they find themselves in a homeless situation. So even though we're reaching out into the community, and we want to be all encompassing of the community, but that is one of the main objectives, was to help women with children when they find themselves in a homeless situation. We have a desire to eventually build a homeless shelter for the women and the children when they become homeless, and we want to eventually set programs in place that will help these women and children build on to get in a better situation. Sometimes it could be education that has caused this type of a situation with the women and the children. But sometimes it could just be just a bad place that they're in right then, and they just need help in finding a place to house themselves until they can get to a better situation. So that was what inspired MWIA, was the women and the children. And we can't leave the young men out. So that's what drove us to, okay, we got to open this up, and we got to get in here and do something that's going to be able to help the young men as well.
I know you have other persons that are helping out, but you seem to be the driving force behind it.
Yes,
Is this kind of like your project that you came up with and you're the driving force, or are there other persons that's connected to it in terms of the MWIA?
Yes, sir. There are others. As a matter of fact, when MWIA started, we started because of the same situations that we were hearing from women with children here in the city of Flint. There was another co-founder, which is from Chicago, Illinois, and she was getting the same information. So at that time, we came together and said we need to start an organization. So I'm doing here in Flint, Michigan, but she is also doing there in Chicago, Illinois, some of the same things that we're doing here in Flint, Michigan. And since that time, we've had about 4 other states with women that wanted to start the organization in their area as well.
Is that right? Now, the one in Chicago, are they 2 years old also?
Yes, sir.
Third year for them?
Yes, sir. We started at the same identical time.
Okay. You see there? That just shows what I said before. Flint is on the move. We are combating programs. Nobody even knows what all the great things we're doing. I want you to come out to this program. It starts at 1 o'clock. It's going to be on Saturday, October the 14th. And it's scheduled to go from 1 o'clock in the afternoon until 4 o'clock. And they're going to be featuring Mr. Amin Nathahari. And he's from out of state in Florida, author and director. And I think you're going to really enjoy this program because it has something for everybody. The films going to have the poets that are going to be there, young people. We want all of the people in the community to come out and support it. It's a worthy cause. And Miss Heidi, I want to, on the air, commend you. I've been meeting with you and some of the others, and I've just been sitting back and watching the work you've been putting into it and all the time you've been dedicating to making sure all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed. And it's just been a lot of meetings that you've been having.
Yes, sir.
And I'm sitting back here on the sideline just saying, I don't see too many persons doing this. But you've been staying at the course, and I would definitely want to commend you. So this is your third year, and what do you plan to do after we have this success on the 14th at 1 from 1 to 4? What are you planning on doing? Is this going to be continued into the distant future, or is this kind of like a 3-year and out kind of thing.
Oh no, sir. We will be continuing, and we're looking forward already to the 4th annual. We've been set up with the McCree Theater with like I say, Mr. Charles Winfrey. It's been a real gem in helping us. But it's an annual event, so we are marked in for every year at the same time to present. And so we will be continuing forward. We will be doing a lot more work in the community. We will be getting with other organizations that have the same types of missions that we have, and joining with those organizations and building on MWIA.
Yeah, another thing I've been impressed with is the fact that your group is non-denominational. You're working with a lot of different groups.
Yes.
And it's going across certain lines. It's not dependent upon one group. It's a number of groups that are joining in the effort, and I've been very impressed with that.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about those vendors again. You said that you're going to have Mott College there. Now, will they be coming to set up a booth to discuss college possibilities for those who are coming out?
Yes, sir. As a matter of fact, these are what we call our informational vendors. And they will be there to let people, because we're in the community. We're all a community. So what's in the community being available for all of the people in the community, but like we say, we're focusing on the youngsters because they're the ones that need the jobs. They're the ones that need the health care. They're the ones that need the education. So sometimes they don't have the information readily available. So we want to have that available at our event, and they will be setting up they have their booths, their tables there. They'll also be giving out little trinkets and things from their organization and the information encouraging the young people to get involved with them as well.
Okay. Want you to definitely come out to the program. It's going to be 1 o'clock in the afternoon on the 14th of October, and it's going to last about 3 hours from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Going to have Dr. Amin Nathahari, who's going to be there as a guest speaker. And they are talking about empowerment, and we need a lot of power in the city of Flint. We're always glad too, Ms. Heidi, when you have anything going on in the community that you're involved in. AllPointsTV.com is trying to be a community activist type of a studio, and anytime you have anything that you're doing, don't even feel that you are putting us out to bring you into the studio to talk about what you're doing, because you're doing great things, and we have to let people know when there's positive things taking place in the community. Where is McCree Theater located, for those who may not be familiar with the location?
Yes, sir. The new McCree Theater is over on West Carpenter Road. It's 2040 West Carpenter Road. It's where the old Powers High School used to be. If you're not familiar with the old Powers, just look at, it's also next door to Northwestern High School. And it's sort of like, you know, if you come in, you go to the back, you'll see the billboard there. They do have a billboard that states McCree Theater. So if you come around to the gym portion of the Powers High School, that's where we're located.
Jim, now about the publicity, has the McCree Theater put up on the marquee your program? Has that been advertised at this point, or is that something that's coming down the line, so to speak? Yes,
sir. As a matter of fact, I talked with Mr. Winfrey just a couple days ago, and he is waiting for his secretary to get in and put that information in, and we will be on the marquee.
Okay. Okay, people out here that are going to attend the program, make sure you come. This program, you know, they're not like I am. I came to the studio today and I was telling them to be here at a certain time. They came, they were here an hour before the time we were supposed to tape, and I came in apologizing. I said, I keep forgetting that you guys are not Baptists. We kind of like in my congregation, we say this time and it means that time. But they were here early, and that means they're very excited about it. And I'm very excited about it because I'm looking forward to the guest speaker. Yes. I understand he's dynamic, and I know some of the things he's done in his community, and he's bringing some of that energy to the Flint community. Don't want anybody to miss him. Your program is 3 years in the making. What has been some of the things that you've done in the previous programs? Have you had guest speakers in the previous programs also?
Actually, this is the first year we had a guest speaker because the first two programs we were actually just doing the full presentation of the DVDs of the Hidden Color 1, the Hidden Color 2, and the second year, the first year we just showed the presentation, and we had a little bit of audience interaction afterward. But the second year, we actually had a discussion with the audience after the presentation, and it went really well. And this year, like I said, I'm so excited because not only will we have the guest speaker, and the presentation of the spoken word, but we also have a workshop that will be part of the final, once we went through the presentations of the film and everything, we have a workshop that the audience will be participating in the discussion of that workshop.
At the end of the program?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you have everything in this program. You have the films. I know Gates' worked pretty well, so I'm really looking forward to that. And the other film was the one that Umar Johnson and some of his colleagues are involved in, called Hidden Colors. Is it Hidden Colors?
Yes, sir. Hidden Colors 3.
Okay. All right. So I hope you'll all come out. And make sure that you tell your friends. We try and get the word out for as many persons come out as possible and make this a success, and encourage the community to get involved in all the activities taking place, because we have to rebuild the city of Flint, and that's possible, it's doable, but we all have to, it's all hands on deck.
Yes, sir. I wanted to say too, in mentioning the vendors, this year we will have a concession stand where we'll have some food stand. We have a new upcoming business. It's called Five Star Foods, and they do like a food truck, and they're wanting to present some Oriental wraps and things there of this year. So this is something new as well. So we will be having that vendor with us as well.
Is that right? Are they volunteering there? They're volunteering to feed the people?
Yes, sir.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
We know this is going to bring some people out in terms of you're going to be able to serve a little something to go along with the great program that you have. I'll tell you what really has impressed me more than anything, that everything has impressed me, but I've been really impressed with the amount of hours. The planning of this program that goes, how long have you been planning it? How long have you been planning this program?
Well, actually, we start planning, last year, right after the program too. But this year, we've been so blessed to have, other organizations come in and get involved with the planning. And if I must say, if it's okay, I'd like to thank the Unity organization. I'd like to thank Dr. Perry, Dr. Moss, Professor Moss, yourself is, getting involved and helping us, and this year being able to get us out and get us in this type of a forum to get our information out there. We certainly appreciate you so kindly.
Yeah, and Unity is doing some things also, and I want to commend them for the work they're doing. But as I was saying, I just have been really impressed. I think that we need more activists, positive activists in our community that's willing to do the work. The work is what has to be done, and if we don't do the work, no one is going to do it for us.
That's right.
It's up to us to make sure that we get the things done that have to be done in our community. Right. I'm just impressed, and I want to encourage everyone out there in the listenership and in the viewership in terms of allpointstv.com. It'll be the listenership on 92.1 WFOV. and this program will air at 12 o'clock on Saturday on that network. You can pick this program up and tell your friends about it. It'll be up on the YouTube, and you'll be able to pick it up at your leisure and the leisure of your friends. Tell them to tune it in, look at what we're trying to do here in the program, and tell all your friends to come out, because I think you're going to really enjoy this program, and maybe it'll kind of prick your own interest and get you involved in some things you can do and make your contribution. But this is going to take place on the 14th of October. It'll be from 1 o'clock until 4 o'clock at the McCree Theater, and the location of the theater will be 2040 West Carpenter Road, Flint, Michigan 48505. If they want to call you, Miss Hadi, how would they get in touch with you?
They can reach me at 810-610-5839.
Okay, and you would want them to call a certain time, or these don't
call anytime. I will get it. If it goes into the voicemail, leave your message. I will contact you at my very earliest, but oftentimes I do answer the phone.
Okay, at this point we're going to take a break from the network 92.1. As they take a break, we will in fact change the topic to another conversation. I want to thank you again, Ms. Hadi, for coming into the studio.
And thank you so kindly for having us.
Okay, for allpointstv.com, we're going to continue with the program, and we're glad again to have had with us for the last 25 minutes or so Ms. Hadi, who is doing a program at the McCree Theater. That'll be on 2040 West Carpenter Road, Flint, Michigan 48505, and that program starts at 1 o'clock sharp, and it'll go on from 1 o'clock until 4 o'clock, and that's October the 14th. Come on time. Don't do like I did today and coming. They were here 1 hour before I arrived, and I told them we're going to start the program at 2 o'clock. But I can tell you right now, they're very serious about what they're doing, and I want you to join them and help them make this program the most successful of the 3 programs they've had, and then we go from there to other programs in the community as well. Want everybody to participate, want everybody to get involved, and want to rebuild the community by everybody being hands-on and getting some of the work done. I want to talk about what occurred in Las Vegas. Didn't hear about it until this morning, but I guess it was being aired last night, and people were talking about the violence that broke out at the and I've seen this. I have property in Las Vegas. I own a timeshare there, and it's right down the street from where this occurred at the Mandalay Hotel, and I'm very familiar with that area. And it just really was shocking to hear that would have occurred in Las Vegas, because when you go to Las Vegas, you see the lights, and the town is pretty much, nobody sleeps in Las Vegas. And I guess it's not true anymore that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, because this was all over the network, of course, and it was just really surprising to hear that this kind of event could have occurred at a country music event. And the latest reports are upwards of 50 persons have died. And I think the latest numbers are that 400 people were injured in that carnage. And if it can happen in Vegas, then it can happen anywhere. Because Vegas is a city that does not sleep. And there's a lot of economic activity in the city. And you can't say that it's a place that's depressed economically, because Vegas is doing pretty well. Most of your fights go on there, for example. And it's just a town that you would think, if there's a problem that comes out into this terrorist thing that we're dealing with, you would think of Las Vegas being maybe the last place that you would expect that to take place. But not so much. There's no place that has a sheltered rear. Every place that we have in the country is under siege, it seems. And when I woke up this morning and heard the news, I just could not believe it. And when they said it happened at the Mandalay Hotel, I'm thinking about the property I own there, and I was saying, wow, that's right down the street. And I've been up and down that street. Never been in the Mandalay Hotel, but I see it as I pass by, going back and forth to the timeshare that I own. And you know, you fly into Vegas, and then you get a car and you drive from there to that street at Westgate. And when I heard it happen there, it was just stunning that could have been the case. And I do understand they have the person that did this. This person was I don't know if he committed suicide or was he taken down by the police, but I do understand they responded to it within a matter of 4 minutes. They were on the scene, but by that time the carnage had taken place, and 50 some odd plus persons have been reported dead, and 400 persons, upwards of 400 persons have been injured. And this carnage took place there. If it can happen in Las Vegas, it can happen anywhere in the United States. And this is something that we've got to pay extreme attention to, because we're under siege in this country. I didn't bring the statistics to the studio, but I was looking at some statistics this morning. And the stats are that we've had approximately 6,000 shooting incidents this year. And what was it last year? There was something like 7,000, I think, homicides that we had in the United States last year. And this carnage was one in which ISIS is taking credit for the event, and they're saying that the person that did the shooting, what was his name? Paddock? I think the name was Paddock. And they're saying that he converted to Islam 3 months ago. And if that's true, then we have got to think about what that means, because it seems to be that there are a lot of these tragedies where one person is doing the shooting, but the multiple effects of it is not just quid pro quo, one person shooting and one person dying. These are multiple killings that are taking place. And we're seeing them repeatedly in the United States, and we're seeing it in the West in general, where we're seeing it in Western Europe. We're seeing it take place in countries like England. We're seeing it in France. Germany has its problems. We see it in Spain. I don't see it too much in those places that have had these restrictions on immigrants. We don't see it in Poland, for example. And I think there's something to be said about the issue of immigration, although I'm not saying this particular individual in this case right here was an immigrant. What I'm saying is that there's something to be said about a kind of like a foreign sentiment that's setting in on the soil of these Western countries. There's an alien influence to what you have in the West, what the West stands for. And although we don't like to talk about this, because we want to be open and we want to be politically correct, and we don't want to mention things that seem like we're not open and accepting of other points of view, but we've got to balance it out with the things that are happening inside the country as a result of that openness. And we have got to come to some type of understanding of what we have to do the first things that should be on the agenda, and that is keeping Americans safe. And I like this idea that's put out by the president, which is that we have to make America put America first. And in the United Nations, where the president spoke, he was saying that this is also true of what other countries ought to do, is put their people first. This was not something that was saying that the U.S. is bigger than other countries or better than other countries. The call is that every country has to have as its first priority to make its citizens the priority of the countries. The U.S. should do it here. They should do it in Venezuela. They should do it in North Korea. They should do it in Western Europe. They should do it everywhere. So it's not a call for anything to take place here in this country. It doesn't take place in all the other countries. Every country should put its citizens first. And that should be the priority. And I am really appalled, quite frankly, that when you make those kinds of statements, that is looked at as being some kind of phobia that you have. I don't think we're against anybody, and I don't think this is what this is about when we call for putting America first. What we are saying, I think what people are saying is that they want the country's priorities put in front of all the other priorities, and it does not mean that the other priorities are not important. It means that the priorities of the country should trump all the other priorities, and if every country does that, we have a meeting place for all the countries to be respected, because as we respect our priorities, we come out of that respect to respect the priorities of other countries as well. I don't have anything against other countries doing that, but I don't think we should indict ourselves for doing it here. And I have to be honest, I was stunned. If you go to Las Vegas, the first thing that grabs you when you go there is that that city has an activity, something going on all the time. I've been in certain cities I've been in certain countries where people are up all hours of the night, and things are open, and that's I've seen that. I don't think I've been in a place that quite reminds me of Las Vegas in that sense. And I've been in a lot of Western European countries. I've been in 17 countries in Africa. And I've seen a lot of things go on where it looks like the places don't sleep. I've been in some countries where you're up all night just talking out in the backyard of hotels. I mean, they have some space out there in the back. And chairs are pulled up, they have lights on, and people are just simply out back. And tea is very popular in some of those countries, and they're drinking tea, and we are, talking into the wee hours of the morning, and nobody seems to go to bed in the what you call the regular hours. You think, okay, 10 o'clock people are turning in, but they're not turning in. A lot of these places, they're staying up. Lights are on. People are up and down the streets, and you'll find people engaged in commercial activities. Very exciting to look at. But I don't think I've been in any place in the world that resembles Las Vegas. And when I bought a timeshare out there, quite frankly, what really impressed me was that everything was underground. You could go from the hotel and you can go underground. They got vendors all over the place, and they're selling things in the vendors. And when you hear that there was this incident here, the first thing is that you're stunned, because how does that happen in Las Vegas? How do you have that take place in a city above all the other cities? This is truly a city that does not go to bed. This city does not sleep, and you would not expect that to take place. And I saw the picture this morning of that window that this shooter had broken out, and this was like machine gun fire. And then you see the person leaving from the window and coming right back, and he has another automatic gun, and he's emptying that gun out. I mean, this is like machine gun fire, and one after the other. And they said that when they went into that room, they said that there were a number of guns in that room. And so this person had planned to do some massive damage. And this was the greatest with the one exception of the so-called Civil War. And it's a so-called Civil War because this is not a civil war, it's a war fought between two nations, one trying to come into being, one already established, and the two warring nations, one trying to aspire toward independence, one already has established independence back in 1776. That independence won 7 years later in 1783. And so we've had wars on the soil, but in terms of the carnage inside of the country itself, where you had damage done within the country by members of the country, not trying to separate from the land space, we have had nothing that resembles this. It seems like that every time we have something that we say, this is the outrage, this is the greatest amount of carnage we've had in the country, it looks like then the next one tops that. And we've never had one where we had this type of thing, where upwards of 50 people died and more than 400 persons that were injured. This is unparalleled in American history. And where we go from here, hopefully we can put something in place where history does not repeat itself, because we have to be safe in the United States. And I don't think we're feeling very safe at this point, because if this can happen in Las Vegas, then there's no place in this country that's safe. I don't think we can say that because it hasn't happened in certain parts of the country, that pretends that it cannot and will not happen in those parts of the country. We have got to take this very seriously and what this means. And I think a lot of it has to do with, there's something about a cultural breakdown. We can continue to think that the problem is elsewhere. Like ISIS comes out and they take credit for it. They say that this was planned by ISIS. But ISIS is not in the United States. Whatever they say about the forces outside, it's like what Amilcar Cabral said when he was talking about the upheavals inside of some of these other countries. And they were saying, well, it's caused by this, or this agency was in fact doing it. And Cabral made the point, this philosopher Cabral, who was the leader of Guinea-Bissau, he said, yeah, that may well be true, but rice always boils in the pot. Meaning that if there are outside forces, and let's say they're outside forces, even if that is the case, it can only happen from within the country itself. I mean, it's not coming in on planes, and it's coming from the fact that flying planes into the country. These persons are here. And it really ultimately is about us. Whoever else is involved in it. Let's say that you have an outside force. Ultimately, the carnage is about us. That we met the enemy. And the enemy is us. It's inside the country, so it's us. Even if it's some foreigner inside the country, once they are here, they are part of us. Or in this case right here, this person, I understand, was 64 years old. And so this idea you can profile, this is beyond profiling, because it looks like everything was indigenous. I mean, the person converted. They tell what some other person was saying. This was the alternative media, by the way, because I was not hearing this in the mainstream media. They were trying to make this about the same thing that's happening in the protests that we're seeing take place on Sundays. And they were trying, of course, to make it seem like this is about the changing of the guard that occurred November the 8th, 2016, and the Trump administration coming in on January the 20th. They're trying to make it about that. But that falls, I think, by the wayside in terms of what is now coming out. The latest things are there was a conversion that was made here of this person that did the shooting, and there seems to be some of the same kinds of things that we've seen in the past. Some of the terrorist links that are seemingly tied into that. But this idea that the credit goes to ISIS on the outside, they're not doing this from the outside, they're doing it from the inside. So whoever is responsible for it, ultimately it has to be within the purview of the nation that this is taking place. And we've got to reconcile our vision to that as a reality, because whatever is happening on the outside, they're ordering person on the inside to do the work. And I don't think it's actually being ordered on the outside, to be honest with you. I think that they have problems where they are, and they are creating those problems. We have problems here, and these problems are being created from within the context of this country. And we can fly the planes over there and act like it's not here, and do things in other countries like Iraq and destabilize those countries and make those places more unsettled. But the instability comes out of what we are doing here. And I made a point on one of my posts. I made this point, I don't think anybody else has made this point, that when you are demonstrating against the flag, and when you are standing down, let's say you're on one knee, and you're somewhat standing down when you're playing the national anthem, that is a national security issue. It's not just a demonstration at a football game. That image goes all over the world, and people see that as a country being divided against itself. And the enemies on the outside are emboldened by that. And those that would deny that, all you have to do is go back and look at how it played out during the Vietnam War. Because when the North Vietnamese saw the demonstrators out in the street, and the government was trying to negotiate with the North Vietnamese in Hanoi, the government in Hanoi, they told the American negotiators that they did not have to negotiate, because they saw the people in the street. And it was just a matter of time before that incubated to the point where that would weaken the resolve of the country to continue the battle, because they saw the dissolution that was taking place within the country itself. And when that happens, it becomes a national security concern. Not that you can't have dissent inside the country, but there cannot be any dissent over the propriety of the national anthem.
All I know is, like, a lot of academics would say that these players have a right to, protest, and I'm on that side. So I basically do have a right to protest, but also it's when you compare it down to, it is kind of a workplace thing. If I was at U of M espousing things that are contrary to the, let's face it, there was a party line basically up there, they would definitely, I've been trounced, I've been thrown out of there. So I mean, I don't see how they can get away as long as they have, because but I do think they have the right to do it. I just think basically this is a sign for Americans to really say, do we really value the opinions of players so much that we're going to want to alter our political course? Or are they just making this and it's something we don't agree with? And if we have also the right to walk away from the NFL. If you're a sports viewer and aficionado, you have a right to say, I no longer want to be part of this, and go change your loyalties. So I mean, they got to understand that there's going to have a reaction. That's what I'm saying.
I do understand that, and of course I'm a student of the Constitution, so I understand that. The other side, this is like Paul Harvey's, page 2. That's page 1. It seems like we get stuck on page 1. You have the right. The First Amendment has not been repealed, and it won't be repealed, and it shouldn't be repealed. Page 2. Page 2 has to do with the responsibilities that are implicit and intrinsic in the exercise of the rights. In other words, yes, the rights are there. What secures those rights, though, is that those rights are, in fact, responsibly embraced and responsibly carried out. Because what secures the rights is the responsible engagement of those rights. And if we are going to be irresponsible, you invite more government largesse to come in that restrains the rights, and it seems to be reasonable because the exercise of those rights is putting people in jeopardy. And the first thing the government must do, and I disagree with the Napolitano here on this point, the first thing government must do is secure its citizens. Now, I know the other side is that the first responsibility of government is to keep us free. But if the government does not keep us safe, then the freedom doesn't matter because you're not here. The first reason we set government up at the genesis of government being set up is we set government up to protect us. That's why we set it up. We could not be protected individually, otherwise we would not have needed government because the bully would have been restrained by the individuals. But we found there were so many bullies out there, we needed an umbrella protection for that. Government's first responsibility is to keep the people safe. But in keeping them safe, you must keep them free. You cannot keep people safe and then don't keep them free because the government is a problem. The government must keep them safe. And the government must keep them free because it cannot carry out its safety responsibilities. Because the first thing that we have to be safe from is the government being a danger. That's a responsibility of the government. Because we see what government has done in the past in terms of the number of people that have been killed by governments around the world. You look at the number of persons that have died. They say, well, there have been more people that have been killed by religion. That's not true. The number of persons been killed by the state.
Actually, I've had a bunch of atheists actually admit to the fact that religion really didn't do as much murdering as a lot of other atheists prior used to say. And it's actually, they even admit, these people are anti-collectivists. They're atheists, but they're anti-collectivist. They said that, communism has killed far more millions of people than all the religious wars combined since mankind's recorded history. Communism's killed more people.
More people, John. And we can look at that in terms of Joseph Stalin. And we can look at it on the Mao. Mao came out of those mountains in 1949. And for that 27-year period of time that he was in power in Beijing, from 1949 to 1976, during that 27-year period of time, Mao, and this would be a conservative number of persons, at least 20 million, some say 40, and there are estimates as high as 60 million people that were killed. You show me what those numbers are anywhere in terms of even the Crusades. The Crusades and these other events that were carried on under these umbrellas of religion. Governments are very dangerous, but government has a responsibility to keep its people safe. And if it's doing that, it's not killing the people. The first responsibility is to keep its people safe. And in keeping them safe, it will keep them free. I think that they twist. I just don't think Napolitano has it right here. I do understand the premise, though. I do understand them saying that the government must keep the people free. I agree with that. I don't have any problem with that. Our Constitution is designed to maintain that. But the government has to do a dual job here. It keeps the people safe and it keeps them free by not being the impediment to that freedom. If government doesn't impede the freedom and it maintains the protection, the people have both of these in their house, freedom and the protection, because government keeps them safe and the government doesn't impede the freedom. That's our Constitution. And I don't think that they see that. The government wants to be restrained. That is the freedom part. The Constitution is a prohibition against the government keeping people, not keeping people free. It's a prohibition against that. If you read it very carefully, it's a prohibition, one after the other, in all 7 articles of the original Constitution. And they were not going to ratify it, by the way, unless they had those guarantees put in place in the amendments. They had promised they would do that in terms of a Bill of Rights. That's the freedom aspect. The Constitution is endowed with the freedom. But guess what was the first part of it? The protection. The freedom would come in after the protections are secured. You have to have the government keeping people safe. The safety issue. And then the freedom that ties in with that. And we have got to hold government accountable for that. And that's in its immigration policies. It's also in its political correctness. If you're practicing political correctness, and in the political correctness, you are doing things that endanger the nation, that's not good. And that is a dereliction of the government's duty. We've got to tell the truth here in this country about what's going on. There are certain things in this country that's endangering us. And to the extent we know there are dangers and we allow it to incubate, that is a problem for the government. And that is a problem that has to be dealt with by the government. I'm very sad to hear the news about the event that took place in Las Vegas. I want to send my condolences out here from allpointstv.com to all the ones whose families were injured and those who have loved ones that died in this carnage. And I hope we will, in fact, do the right thing now by making sure in their names it won't happen again. We're coming up on the 57-minute mark, and we're going to, at this point, again, thank our viewers for listening in on our program here at allpointstv.com, and also those at 92.1 WFOV. Thank you again for listening in. We'll see you next week. Until that time, I want you to follow your dream, because if you don't follow your dream, you'll never know what's on the other side of the rainbow.